Zamfara state government lifts the ban on offering prayers in mosques. Nigeria records 146 new COVID-19 cases, totaling infections now 4,787. The 8th teleconference meeting of the 36 state governors is being held today. On business, NNPC records 211.62 billion naira from petroleum product sales. And on the international scene, Thailand reports no new coronavirus cases for first time since March 9th. Welcome to Standard Voice Television News. My name is Samira Ibrahim. Now the news in full. Muslims in Zamfara State can now offer the 5 daily prayers in the mosques within their vicinity. The State Governor Dr. Bello Muhammad Matawalla Maradun made this known in a telephone interview with correspondent of Zamfara Radio. Dr. Bello Muhammad Matawalli also announced that Muslims can offer their Jum'at prayers at their designated places of worship. Likewise, Christians can attend their churches for their services. Governor Matawalli enjoined the people to bear with the situation as the measures were taken to curb the spread of coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic in the state. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has arrested 2 Chinese for offering the sum of 100 million naira as bribe to the zonal head of the anti-graft agency in Sokoto State, Mr. Abdullahi Lawal. The agency disclosed this in a series of tweets on Tuesday, noting that the arrest was made on Monday in Sokoto. According to the EFCC, the sum was allegedly offered in a desperate bid to compromise ongoing investigations of the construction company China Zhongguo Nigeria Limited, which was handling contract awarded by the Zamfara state government in the sum of 50 billion naira between 2012 to 2019. The zonal office of the commission is investigating the construction company in connection with the execution of a contract for the construction of township roads in Gumi, Bukuyum, Anka and Nasarawa towns of Zamfara State, and also the construction of 168 solar-powered boreholes in the 14 local government areas of the state. Alarmed by the consistency and professionalism of investigation being conducted, the company reached out to Lawal in an offer of 100 million naira as bribe to bury the matter, the statement said. It, however, noted that in a grand design to trap the corrupt officials, Lawal played along. On Monday, 2 representatives of the company, Menwei Kun and Zukui, offered him cash totaling 50 million naira in their office along Airport Road, Sokoto. The cash was offered as the first installment, but the suspects were promptly arrested with the cash as evidence. The anti-graft agency further explained that the investigation of the construction company was informed by intelligence on alleged conspiracy, misappropriation of public funds, embezzlement, official corruption, abuse of office, stealing and money laundering obtained against the Zamfara state government through inflated and uncompleted contract awarded to the company. So far, according to the EFCC, investigations have revealed that China Zhongguo Limited has received payment of over 41 billion naira from Zamfara state government, out of which about 16 billion naira was allegedly diverted and traced to some Brew de Change operators. It says the suspect will be charged to court soon. The federal government says the Homegrown school feeding program for primary school pupils will resume on Thursday, May 14, 2020 in Abuja and subsequently in Lagos, Ogun and other states. Hajiya Sadiya Umar Farooq, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, made the disclosure in a statement by her Special Assistant of Media, Mr. Salisu Dambata, on Tuesday in Abuja. The minister said the resumption was based on the presidential directive. She said each household will receive a take-home ratio valued 4,200 naira, made up of 5 kg bag of rice, 5 kg bag of beans, 5 ml vegetable oil, 750 ml palm oil, 500 mg salt, 15 pieces of eggs, 140 gm tomato paste. The ministry, in consultation and collaboration with the state governments identified the distribution of take-home ratios to households of the children on the program as a feasible method to achieve this directive. This is a global accepted means of supporting children to continue to have access to nutrient-rich foods despite disruption of the traditional channels of schools feeding by the pandemic. The House of Representatives have resolved to call on Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 to direct state governors to immediately halt the evacuation of Almajiris back to their state of origin. The House also urged the Presidential Task Force to enforce the interstate travel ban order to stop such evacuation. This was a call to a motion by a member from Gombe State, Hajia Aisha Dukku, on the urgent need to look into the evacuation of Almajiris amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Hajia Aisha Dukku expressed concern that the manner in which the children are being transported is dehumanizing. According to her, the children, after traveling many hours under harsh weather, were rejected and turned back by their states of origin or kept in isolation under dehumanizing conditions. The lawmaker observed that such action is capable of jeopardizing the fight against coronavirus pandemic. Adopting the motion, the House resolved to call on the Federal Ministry of Health to examine the health condition of the Almajiris. Nigeria has recorded 146 new cases of the novel coronavirus, bringing its total infections to 4,787. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC) in a tweet late Tuesday confirmed the new cases. Of the 146 cases, the health agency said 57 were from Lagos, 27 from Kano, 10 in Kwara, 9 in Edo, 8 in Bauchi, 7 in Yobe, and 4 each in Kebbi and Oyo states. Other states with the new cases include Katsina and Niger, each with 3 cases, the quartet of Plateau, Borno, Sokoto, and Benue with 2 cases each, posting 1 case each were Gombe, Enugu, Ebonyi, Ogun, FCT, and Rivers State. While the coronavirus has no definite cure yet, the number of successfully managed cases in the country rose to 959, the NCDC said. However, 8 more deaths were recorded, putting the virus total at 158. Earlier on Tuesday, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 assured Nigerians that the possible cure being procured from Madagascar will undergo the necessary checks to ensure its efficacy and safety for human consumption. Owing to rising cases of coronavirus infection and the inability of government facilities to cope, more private hospitals have been given the green light to treat patients. Minister of Health Dr. Esagi Ihanire said on Tuesday that accreditation have been given to more private hospitals in Lagos and other parts of the country. This new approach is a modification of the government's position last month that private hospitals were barred from treating patients. Madam Abba Kyari, Chief of Staff to the President Muhammadu Buhari, died at a private hospital in Lagos of coronavirus complications on April 17th. As at last night, the virus position cases had reached near 5,000, with the government worried about the shortage of bed spaces at the treatment isolation centers. Ihanire, who spoke at the daily briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 control in Abuja, said beside the accreditation already given out, teams had been dispatched to man parts of the country to access private hospitals for the purpose of allowing them to treat patients should they meet the protocols as deployed by the PTF. House of Representatives on Tuesday urged the federal government to support and encourage the use of locally developed remedies for the management and treatment of COVID-19 ailments. The House said this will enable Nigerians to ascertain their efficacy. Health Minister Dr. Osagi Ihanire had told the House that the government was not ruling out of the possibility of using local drugs for the treatment of the virus, but he insisted that the efficacy of such local drugs must first be ascertained. Adopting a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by OC Prestige, the House mandated its Committee on Health to interface with relevant government agencies to ensure that locally developed remedies for the treatment of COVID-19 are included in the clinical trials by the World Health Organization (WHO) under its Solidarity Initiative. Prestige told the House that even though the WHO had not found any effective cure or vaccine for this virus, it had launched an international clinical trial called Solidarity to help find an effective cure for the disease. The lawmaker said Madagascar, a small African country, developed a herbal drink for the treatment of the virus. Prestige said the medicine was developed from a medical plant, adding that Madagascar has so far not recorded any deaths from the coronavirus cases. Sharing face masks is dangerous, the Presidential Task Force (PTF) on COVID-19 control warned on Tuesday. Secretary to the Government of the Federation (SGF) and Chairman of the PTF on COVID-19 was Mustafa, who raised the concern, also described the refusal by some Nigerians to observe physical distancing as worrisome. In his opening remarks during the daily media briefing by the PTF in Abuja, the SGF revealed that besides the fact that people share face masks among themselves, some others go about picking trash disposable masks for recycling and resale. The practice, he warned, put at risk not just those engaged in such practices but the entire population. This places a lot of responsibilities on all of us to be self-educated and to educate others. Sokoto State Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol has announced the discharge of 22 patients of COVID-19 in the state. Before their discharge, the patients were isolated and treated in 2 of the state isolation facilities. According to the State Commissioner for Health and Chairman of the State Task Force on COVID-19, Dr. Muhammad Ali Innemi, who addressed journalists on behalf of the governor, 19 patients had hitherto been discharged after they were certified as healthy and free from the virus. The governor said this brings to 41 the total number of COVID-19 patients out of 176 cases so far discharged by the task force. Governors of the 36 states are to hold their 8th teleconference meeting since the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic. The teleconference is to review the situation in the various states in the country and find paths for a quick way out of the effect of the pandemic for the country. An invitation from the Director General of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Mr. Asishana Bayo Okoru, who to the governors lists the issues to be discussed at the meeting, including an update from the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, a new initiative codenamed COVID Volunteer Health Workers Support Scheme to states, which include a consideration for COVID healthcare training proposal, among others. The governors will also take a peek into COVID distribution of palliatives and also receive a feedback from states. It is expected to get an update on the lockdown and see whether or not the palliative have made any impact on the citizenry. The governors also discussed the NCDC Bill 2020, among other matters, apart from taking a critical look at the nation's economic sustainability plan post-COVID-19. The NNPC GMD, Mr. Mele Kyari, is also expected to join the meeting to discuss the intervention and coordination efforts of the NNPC since the outbreak of the pandemic. The Senate on Tuesday received a formal request from President Muhammadu Buhari for the confirmation of 42 ambassadors designate. The request, which was contained in a letter dated May 6, 2020, was read on the floor during the plenary by the President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan. According to the letter, in accordance to Section 171, Subsection 1 and 2C, and Subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, the President has the honor to forward for confirmation by the Senate a list of 42 names of nominees as CARE ambassadors designate. The ambassadors designate for confirmation are CO Wachuku Abia, A. Kafas Adamawa, R.U. Brown Akwa Ibom, G.A. Odubo Anambra, O.C. Onua Anambra, Y.S. Sulaiman Bauchi, E.S. Abama Bayelsa, B.B.M. Okonye Bayelsa, G.M. Okoko Benue, A.M. Garba Borno, M.I. Bashir Borno, M.O. Abam Cross River, A.E. Aloti Cross River, G.E. Adopa Edo, and A.N. Madubuke Enugu. Others are Adamu Lamua Gombe, Mr. Innocent A. Ijoru Imo, M.S. Abubakar Jagawa, Y.A. Ahmad Jagawa, S.D. Umar Kaduna, A. Sule Kano, G.Y. Hamza Kano, N. Rimi Katsina, L.S. Ahmed Rimawa Katsina, M. Manu Kebi, I.R. Ocheni Kogi, I.A. Yusuf Kogi, A. Abdurrahim Kwara, Mrs. W.A. Adedeji, Lagos, and A.U. Oga, Nasarawa. Also among career ambassadors designated to be confirmed are A.S. Musa, Niger, N.A. Kolo, Niger, S.O. Olaniyan, Ogun, A.R. Adejola, Ogun, E. Awe, Ondo, O. Oluko, Osun, I.A. Alatishe, Osun, V.A. Adeleke, Oyo, M.S. Adamu, Plateau, I.N. Charles, Rivers, Z.M. Ifu, Taraba, and B.B. Hamman. On business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) on Tuesday in Abuja said its downstream subsidiary Petroleum Product Marketing Company (PPMC) netted 211.62 billion naira from the sale of white product in February. In a statement, its Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Dr. Kenny Obateru, explained that the cash contained in the February NNPC monthly financial and operation report was higher compared to the previous month's record of 151.79 billion naira. The report also indicated that total revenue recorded from the sale of white product between February last year and this February stood at 2.6 trillion naira, with petrol contributing about 98.6% of the total sales of about 2.5 trillion naira. The report stated that about 1.7 billion liters of white product were sold and distributed by PPMC in February, compared with about 1.2 billion liters sold in January. This comprised about 1.7 billion liters of PMS and 1.9 million liters of automotive gas oil. Also, there was sale of 0.01 million liters of special product, low-power fuel oil in the month. Total sale and distribution of white product from February last year to February this year stood at about 21 billion liters, and PMS accounted for 20.8 billion liters, or 98.73%. And on the international scene, Thailand, the first country outside China to discover a case of the new coronavirus, on Wednesday reported no new daily cases for the first time in 2 months. A spokesman for the Government Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration said the report made the government to consider easing more restrictions on businesses. We all can be relieved, but not complacent. The spokesman said people need to continue with the main measures: wash hands, practice social distancing, and wear face masks. Thailand detected its first coronavirus case, a tourist from China, on January 13th. Since then, it has recorded a total of 3,017 infections and 68 deaths. Still on the international scene, a United States court has granted Nigeria permission to investigate bank transactions involving former President Goodluck Jonathan, his wife Patience, former Petroleum Resources Minister Dizaini Alison Maduke, and other top government officials. These politicians were in office when the country signed a contract with a company, Process and Industrial Development Limited, which has become a source of dispute. The New York Federal Court's ruling followed the federal government's application to it for official access to the bank's record of the former president and his erstwhile petroleum minister. There is a good reason to believe that ministers at the highest level were involved in a corrupt scheme to steal money from Nigeria. Attorney General Abubakar Malami stated this in his application to the court submitted on March 24th. Nigeria's chances of annulling the giant penalty lie on proving the 2010 gas supply arranged was a sham designed to fail the P&ID and government officials. The saga became a full-blown crisis for Nigeria last August when a UK judge ruled that P&ID could enforce an arbitration tribunal's 2019 ruling, now totaling $9.6 billion, including interest, which found the country breached the agreement. The applications were made by Alexander Pentu, a partner of Mr. Seli and Femi LLP attorneys for the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Malami. That has been the news from Standard First Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Zamfara State Government lifts the ban on offering prayers in mosques. Nigeria records 146 new COVID-19 cases, totaling infections now 4,787. The 8th teleconference meeting of the 36 state governors is being held today. On business, NNPC records 211.62 billion naira from petroleum product sales. And on the international scene, Thailand reports no new coronavirus cases for first time since March 9th. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, Ibrahim Garbatuna, I am Samira Ibrahim, wishing you a pleasant day. Keep watching Standard Press Television News. Goodbye.